Once upon a time, a couple was traveling on a boat and decided to stop at an island they saw on their journey. The husband parked the boat near the shore, busy tying the rope like he was trying to win the world's best not tire award. Meanwhile, his wife, instead of helping him, decided to wander off into the jungle because, apparently, exploring creepy islands alone is the new adventure trend. Seriously, lady, who leaves their husband behind to do all the work and goes sightseeing like it's a picnic. While strolling, the wife stumbled upon a strange compound surrounded by barbed wire. As she looked around, she suddenly felt like someone was watching her. But when she tried to see who it was, there was no one in sight. Feeling scared, she hid behind a tree, hoping to outsmart whatever might be lurking. But surprise, someone grabbed her from behind, and she screamed so loudly that even people back at the shore probably thought the island was haunted. Her husband, still on the shore, heard the scream and finally stopped playing sailor. Honestly, buddy, maybe you should have kept an eye on her instead of focusing on your boat-tying masterpiece. The scene then shifts to a plane heading toward the same island. This plane was being flown by two brothers, John and Matt, who were traveling with their friend Nova. John and Matt didn't get along well because, brothers being brothers. But they decided to visit the island where they'd spent their childhood, hoping some family bonding would magically fix their issues. Their uncle used to live on the island, but he had passed away, and now the place was completely deserted. When they landed on the island and were entering their uncle's old house, they found a cute little puppy outside. Sarah, one of their friends, decided to keep the puppy because clearly that's what you do on abandoned islands, adopt random animals. Nova, on the other hand, declared she liked cats more than dogs. Cue the puppy side-eye. "Excuse me, you ungrateful human." The puppy stared at Nova like it understood every word and was deeply offended. Later, when Nova came out of the kitchen, the puppy bolted out of the house. Sarah got worried and went out with John to look for it. They found the puppy outside, but it wasn't alone. It had brought a big, scary dog with it. The dog didn't waste time and attacked Sarah, biting her leg before running off. Plot twist. Maybe the puppy was secretly recruiting members for its dog army. Sarah was left with a nasty wound, and their friend Nikki freaked out, saying they should leave the island immediately. But John, the ever-so-brilliant leader, refused. "It's just a dog bite," he said, acting like he was some sort of wilderness survival expert. "We'll give her some medicine and she'll be fine." Sarah agreed, probably because she didn't want to argue while nursing her leg. Matt then mentioned that during their childhood, there used to be a dog training compound on the island. He and John would often play with the puppies there, but one day, one of the dogs got an infection, and things took a dark turn. All the dogs had to be put down. So basically, you're telling us this island has a history of killer dogs, and you still thought it was a good idea to visit? Genius move, guys. The next morning, Sarah was acting weird. She wasn't talking much and seemed off. When she sat down to eat, she gobbled up food like she hadn't eaten in years. Honestly, Sarah, chill. It's not an eating competition. Meanwhile, John, Matt, and Noah decided to go hunting, leaving Sarah and Nikki at the house. The big hunters didn't find a single deer or rabbit. Great job, guys. You're definitely winning Survivor Island. So, Noah, bored out of his mind, started taking photos of the forest instead. That's when a dangerous dog appeared in front of him. Trying to stay calm, Noah slowly backed up, only to find another dog behind him. And just like that, he realized he was surrounded by dogs. Guess Noah thought he was in a National Geographic shoot, but the dogs had other plans. Panicking, Noah ran for his life and somehow found Matt and John. Out of breath, he warned them, "This island is full of dogs. It's not safe here." Just then, they saw a man completely covered in blood. He was the same man shown on the warning board earlier. The poor guy had been attacked by the dogs and was barely alive. Before the trio could help, one of the dogs returned and finished him off. Terrified, John, Matt, and Noah bolted back to the house like they were in the Olympics. Back at the house, Sarah and Nikki were returning from swimming. While they were climbing the hill behind the house, the others yelled at them to hurry because a pack of dogs was sneaking up on them. They all rushed inside, but Nikki wasn't fast enough. A dog grabbed her leg. John tried to be the hero and shot an arrow at the dog, but his aim was so bad that the arrow hit Nikki's foot instead. "Way to go, John. Robin Hood would be proud." The dog, scared by the commotion, ran off. Everyone rushed inside and removed the arrow from Nikki's foot. They decided it was time to leave. But before they could pack up, a dog broke through the window and attacked Noah. John and Matt managed to kill the dog after a tough fight. Seriously, these dogs seem more determined than half the people at Black Friday sales. Finally, they decided to pack up and leave the house. But when they stepped outside, they realized the dogs had disappeared. Confused but relieved, they prepared to leave, only to discover that the dogs had sabotaged their escape. The plane that was tied to the shore was floating away because the dogs had cut the rope. These dogs are out here playing 4D chess while the humans are struggling with basic survival. John, showing rare courage, jumped into the water to retrieve the plane. But as it got closer, he saw two dogs chilling on top of it like it was their private yacht. The dogs knocked him into the water and started chasing him. Somehow, John managed to swim back to shore. Props to John for surviving the Dog Olympics, but maybe next time, don't challenge the island's MVPs. Back at the house, they realized they had no way out. That's when someone suggested using a car in the garage. They came up with a plan that involved using a rope to reach the garage. Matt, at first, acted all brave and volunteered, but the moment he saw he'd have to dangle from a rope, he backed out. Classic Matt. All talk, no action. So, Nikki stepped up. Using the rope, Nikki made her way halfway to the garage, but then she got stuck in the air. Seeing her dangling like a piñata, all the dogs started gathering below. Somehow, Nikki managed to make it to the garage. Seriously, give Nikki a medal. She's the only one on this island actually getting things done. Nikki jumped into the car and tried to start it, but of course, the car refused to cooperate. Classic horror movie logic. The car always dies when you need it most. Maybe it was protesting against being left to rust for years. As Nikki struggled, all the dogs surrounded the car like they were planning a neighborhood block party. With no options left, Nikki climbed out of the car through the roof and onto the garage. But once she got up there, she realized there was no way back down. Great plan, Nikki. Climb somewhere with no escape. Top-tier survival instincts right there. John, the group's self-appointed hero, used an arrow to shoot a rope toward her. Nikki grabbed it and managed to climb back to safety. Later that night, everyone tried to lighten the mood by listening to some music, because nothing screams relaxation like being trapped on an island surrounded by killer dogs. But just when things were starting to feel a little normal, the power went out. Nova decided to go to the basement alone to fix the fuse, which was probably the dumbest decision anyone could make. Nova, buddy, have you never seen a horror movie? The basement is always where bad things happen. Predictably, a dog attacked him down there, and before anyone could help, all the dogs teamed up to kill Nova. Hearing Nova's screams, John and Matt rushed to the basement, but immediately slammed the door shut when they saw the pack of dogs coming. Real brave, guys. Your friend's down there getting mauled, but sure, let's prioritize self-preservation. The dogs, however, weren't done. They started breaking into the house, forcing everyone to run to the roof. On the way, one dog managed to bite Matt. In a moment of rage, John killed the dog, proving that even he had a limit to his bad decisions. They eventually hid in a cabin, where they found some papers revealing that this island used to be an army dog training facility. Oh great, so they're not just dogs, they're military-grade dogs. Fantastic. The next morning, John and Matt decided to head back to the garage to try the car again. They somehow managed to push it out of the garage, with Matt doing the heavy lifting while John sat inside trying to start it. Matt deserves a medal for not yelling. Why am I the only one pushing? Despite their efforts, the car still wouldn't start, and the dogs began chasing them. Matt climbed on the car roof and started fighting the dogs off, because nothing screams smart like playing superhero on a stationary car. With the dogs closing in, John decided to take a risk and guided the car toward a ditch. Miraculously, at the very last moment, the car started. John floored it, and the loud noise scared the dogs away. Apparently, these highly trained military dogs are terrified of engine sounds. Who knew? They drove back to the house to pick up Nikki and Sarah. But Nikki explained that Sarah refused to come down. So, John, who clearly loved playing the hero, went upstairs to get her. He found Sarah about to be attacked by a dog. Without hesitation, John stepped in front of her and took the hit. The attack knocked him out of the window, but luckily he survived. Honestly, John, at this point, your dedication to playing the martyr is impressive, but maybe don't use your body as a dog shield next time. Just when things couldn't get worse, Sarah got attacked by the same dog again. In a dramatic turn of events, she stumbled backward and landed on a sharp wooden stick. The stick went straight through both Sarah and the dog, killing them on the spot. Sarah's final act? A 2-for-1 special. Talk about going out with flair. Now, only John, Matt, and Nikki were left. Somehow, they managed to make it back to the compound, where they discovered the ugly truth. This place wasn't just a dog training facility. It was a dog experimentation center. These dogs weren't just angry. They were super smart, thanks to some messed up science experiments. Because clearly, giving killer instincts to dogs wasn't enough, someone decided they needed a PhD in murder too. John spotted a radio tower and realized they could call for help, but a wire on the tower was disconnected. So, of course, John decided to climb the tower to fix it. Because climbing a tower surrounded by killer dogs is such a genius idea. Bravo, John. While up there, he spotted the couple's boat from the beginning of the story, but before he could yell hooray, he connected the wire and got zapped by a 100-volt circuit. He fell straight down, and the dogs immediately pounced on him. Matt rushed in to save John, killing the dogs one by one like an action hero. Meanwhile, Nikki found herself trapped in a room that had caught fire due to a short circuit. As smoke filled the air, she tried to escape but discovered that a pack of dogs was already waiting for her at the exit. At this point, it's safe to assume these dogs have a full surveillance system, maybe even a strategy team. Nikki, showing she had more brains than the others combined, devised a plan to take out the dogs. She opened a gas cylinder, left the door ajar, and ran back into the burning room. When the dogs entered, she opened the door to the fiery room, triggering a massive explosion. The blast sent the dogs running, but John and Matt, who saw the explosion from outside, assumed Nikki had sacrificed herself. R.I.P. Nikki, or so they thought. Overcome with grief, John and Matt started fighting, because when in doubt, punch your only remaining ally, right? But their brawl was cut short when the dogs returned for round 2. Just as all hope seemed lost, Nikki showed up in a car like a superhero, saving them both. The trio made a dash for the boat, but the dogs weren't giving up. Nikki, in a moment of reckless brilliance, drove the car straight into the water without hitting the brakes. They all leaped out just in time and swam to the boat, because apparently destroying the car was a necessary plot point. Thanks, Nikki. As they climbed aboard the boat, they thought they were finally safe. Phew, we made it, said John. But just as he opened the sleeping compartment, a dog jumped out and attacked him. Plot twist. The dogs had a spy on board the whole time. These dogs should teach strategy classes. And with that, the movie ended. Because nothing says satisfying conclusion like a cliffhanger involving a killer dog.